Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546, and we're back at it again from the dumpster fire. And today I want to talk about Cam Ward. So I had a whole detailed film breakdown of Cam Ward, but because of copyright, it went ridiculous. I'm not able to put it up. If you want to see that full video, go ahead and become a member. You'll be able to see that from start to finish. Today's video, I'm just going to be talking about my evaluation of Cam Ward. So if you want the film with it, you want a more detailed analysis, go ahead and become a member. That video is up there. There'll be other draft film sessions up there. Other kind of film breakdowns are going to be going up there soon too. So let's talk about Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward started off as my quarterback 2. He started off as my quarterback 2. And it took a while, took a lot of game film before I decided to start shifting things around. And really what did it, I'll go into that a little bit more later. What really did it is his ability to make big plays, his ability to kind of do things off schedule that no other quarterback, or at least consistently, no other quarterback in this draft is able to do pretty much from any platform, from any situation, at any point in the game. Do I think Shedeur may be further along right now? I think so. I think Cam Ward is just a little bit behind Shedeur Sanders right now, and I think he has enough things on tape to show that like he's improved as a quarterback. He's improved every single year, and you know his mechanics can improve. So I think that's a really good sign going forward, and that's how he became my quarterback 1. So let's take a look. 4,313 yards last year, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 10-3 record, played in a bowl game and won it pretty easily. 6'2", 223, so perfect NFL size, or not perfect NFL size, but perfect size as far as weight goes for an NFL quarterback. 6'2", so he's a little bit more stocky than, you know, a lot of your 6'4", 225 pound quarterbacks. And that's not a problem at all. I think 6'2", we'll see what his final measurement is going to be if he comes to the combine. We'll see what that is, if it's closer to 6'3" or if it's closer to 6'1". But I haven't really seen any problems as far as him not being able to see over the line, as far as him having to slide to see something. So I don't think height is going to be a problem in the NFL. Now, of course, Cam Ward came from Incarnate Word. Then he went over to, I think, Washington State. And then he found himself at the U. So he had a crazy journey. He's improved every single year. Improved every single year as a passer. I watched him last year and I was thinking this guy is probably a 4th rounder in my book at best. And after this year, I mean, clear-cut 1st rounder. I think last year, if you were to rank him amongst the other quarterbacks, you would probably have Caleb 1, Jayden Daniels 2. And then I think he slides in along with Shedeur. I think they both slide in that category of Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, all those guys right there. So that is something to take note of. So I have a grading scale for anybody that's seen the film breakdowns. And the grading is going to put him at an accuracy of 8. Again, I don't like the mechanics. The mechanics need to improve. They need to improve. But the accuracy, for the most part, is there, even with bad mechanics. Quarterback IQ, I have him at a 7, and that includes mechanics and things like that, just playing the quarterback position. I have him at a 7. Sometimes he makes some questionable mistakes. Sometimes, you know, he does great things, but he does need to clean up that kind of consistency from a snap in, snap out basis. So I gave him a 7 there. Pocket presence. Pocket presence was really difficult to rate here because he's a guy that he can lose the football in the pocket. He can be so relaxed in the pocket that someone just knocks the ball out. And I'm concerned about that ball security, but he does maneuver the pocket very well. He doesn't always abandon clean pockets when he gets into his scrambling. And, you know, for the most part, he's so calm in that pocket that he can take a hit and deliver a strike. So I decided, because of his calmness and demeanor in the pocket, I decided to give him an 8 out of 10. Big play ability, I gave him a 10 out of 10. And this is just because, again, he can really extend plays like few people can. He's got that innate ability to just escape, to reset, to escape, to reset, and to get the ball down the field, you know, in a hurry. He can be a guy that's backpedaling and throws the ball. He's not a Patrick Mahomes type or Josh Allen type, but he can do some of that, some of the things that they do as far as backpedaling, reversing field, and making an accurate throw 40, 50 yards downfield. So big playability is there just because of the ability to extend the play, ability to throw off at any arm angle. Mobility, I gave him a 7 just because of that scrambling ability. I don't think he's going to be a guy that consistently is going to be running for 70, 80 yards in the NFL a game, but he is a guy that is going to consistently pick up these wide open first downs that NFL defenses leave open. I think he's going to be a guy that moves the chains 2-3 times a game, maybe 20, 30 yards every game or, every other game. So he's going to be a guy that can pick up those first downs, and he's going to be a guy that can move around and throw on the move, which factors into my mobility score. So he got a 7 there. Arm talent, 9. Now, I switched from arm strength. If you've seen my earlier videos, I switched from arm strength to arm talent. And don't worry about some of the past grades because arm talent was considered in that arm strength category. I just had to update the language. Now, arm talent, I gave him a 9. And I give him a 9 because he doesn't have the strongest arm. And when I say he doesn't have the strongest arm, it's not a weakness by any means. It's a strength. But he doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type of arm. He just doesn't have that level of arm. But he does have the ability to throw from almost any angle. I mean, pretty much every angle that you could think of, and he can do it accurately. So because of that, and because of the fact that I would give him a A-, B++ arm strength, because of those two things fit together, I decided to give him a 9 for arm talent. Physical score came in at 9.5. Now, this physical score doesn't consider, what your ideal quarterback height is, because you got Patrick Mahomes, who's 6'2", and he's fine. He's fine. So ideal quarterback height weight is like 6'4", 230, 6'5", 230, something like that. I use physical score to determine their height and weight and what the correlation is between those two. So if the guy was 6'2", if he's 190 something, that's bad. That's bad. He's got to have some more weight on him. So 6'2", 225 is perfect for height and weight. So we got just below a 10, so a 9.5 there. All of that considered, he came in at 8.23 for his final player score, which put him as my number 1 quarterback this year. For reference, I think Jayden Daniels came in at 8.7 last year. So far off because there's a big gap between those low 8s for me and the higher 8s, but nonetheless, not terribly far behind, which again, I put him a notch below guys like Jayden Daniels. And I would say Caleb Williams as a prospect, as just a pure prospect, as far as tools, is probably in a cut of his own last year too. And, if you were, of course, to insert him into this draft, he's a number 1 pick, bar none. So that's how I'm thinking about Cam Ward. I think he is really going to be important where he goes. Now, if he comes up to the Giants, if he ends up being a New York Football Giant, I think Brian Daboll was the perfect coach for him. A lot of people are out on Brian Daboll, but I think Brian Daboll can work well with quarterbacks. I just think he's had some bad quarterbacks. You see Drew Lock got here, played bad, kept getting hurt, or got hurt one time. And once he was kind of able to settle in, you see that huge game. Now, we played against a horrible defense, but nonetheless, you see that it's possible for him to work with quarterbacks, them to learn the offense, them to improve on a week-to-week basis, and then you start to get really good quarterback play. Now, is that going to happen here? I can't promise it. I cannot promise that is going to happen here. But if Cam Ward comes here and he works with Brian Daboll, I would feel good about that because Brian Daboll likes to let guys play loose, likes to let guys take shots down the field. And I think Cam Ward can do that. And he's going to get an extra chance. Every 3 or 4 plays, he's going to get 2-3 more seconds because he's going to buy himself those time. And then also, behind the offensive line that we have right now, he's not going to get, destroyed behind that line. You look at the line at the beginning of the season, Daniel Jones was back there pretty comfortable until Andrew Thomas got hurt and everything else, fell apart. But when guys are healthy, that offensive line was pretty good. So he's not going to be in a disaster scenario like that. He'd have Malik Neighbors. There's rumors that we bring in Stafford and Cooper Kupp. So if we bring in a guy like Stafford that he can sit behind, and then Cooper Kupp as your, slot receiver, if for some reason Stafford doesn't play the whole season, Cam Ward will be fine. And if he sits for a year, that would be ideal in my opinion. Now, if he goes to a team like the Browns that have been struggling to protect Deshaun Watson, or if he goes to a couple of other these teams, I can see some struggling, but I think Tennessee's pretty solid. He just needs to go to a situation where he's not expected to carry everything by himself on day one. So I would love for Cam Ward to sit 5-6 games at least, learn the game, get comfortable, and then let's see what he can do when he finally gets in there. So that's my take on Cam Ward. Again, if you want to actually see the film breakdown, go ahead and become a member. That video is up. Again, more videos will go on to that members only section soon. And you let me know what you're thinking of Cam Ward this year.